Maybe you or someone you know has a loved one in an assisted living or long-term care senior facility. And even before COVID-19, you had frustration with slow or even no communication regarding your loved one's progress within that community. And guess what? You are not alone. In a recent University of Chicago study, 54% of families who have a loved one in an assisted living or long-term care facility reported they only hear from their loved one's facility provider in case of emergencies. That's it.
That's right.
65% of those same surveyed families wanted updates weekly or even daily, and they were not receiving that. Or maybe you are an administrator at a senior care facility and you would love to have more engagement from family members of the residents that are in your care. However, you lack the time and definitely the proper staffing levels to call and email every family member of every resident you have on a weekly or daily basis. Well, this session of Live Inspired today is going to show you how one man was inspired based out of the frustration of his own family story to create a solution that mutually benefits family members who want to know more about their loved ones on a consistent and frequent basis, as well as senior care communities that allows for improved communication, efficiency, and productivity in delivering peace of mind to the family members of their residents. Hey everybody, this is Kirk Williams, host of Live Inspired Today, and I am excited, I'm very excited today to welcome to the main stage my good friend, great friend, Chip Rowe. Chip is the founder, president, and CEO of Care Share Manager, an innovative, user-friendly, powerful, and fully customizable cloud-based solution that allows for more effective communication between senior care communities, the residents they serve, and their family members. Please help me welcome to the main stage, Chip Rowe. Welcome, Chip.
Hello, Kirk. How are you? It's a pleasure to be here. Quite an honor.
I am great. I'm well, doing very good. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing this information, and I'm really excited for today's lesson, today's session about CareShare. We've been talking about it for a while. We've done some.
We sure have.
And I think it's about time that we get the world to know about you and your phenomenal story, as well as and your inspirational story, as well as the inspiration behind CareShare. So,
well, I thank you, and I don't think, Kirk, anybody who's watching this can ignore that the COVID-19 virus has fundamentally changed all of America.
Yeah.
But it certainly impacted our most vulnerable citizens who were being cared for in communities away from their families. And we're very glad we had this solution in place for several years, and it has become really very important now, given the frustrations people had with communication with their loved one in a community.
Sure. Well, let's just jump right in and talk about that. We're in the middle of this pandemic, COVID-19,
Yep.
And with our most vulnerable, our elderly, our seniors. I watch so many stories, and you can tell all these stories on TV. You see that loved ones are not able to get and talk to or even visit their loved ones in these communities. And how do they communicate? How do they talk to them? How do they do that? Not really sure. I mean, I know you've seen those things online, those stories.
I sure have.
How's that impacting them?
Well, I think if we can take a step back, I'll explain to you a little bit about the genesis of CareShare, because I think the reasons that we built and implemented CareShare are the same reasons today that we need this kind of solution. 10 years ago, my mom, who was suffering from failing health and early onset dementia, entered the long-term and post-acute care ecosystem. Long-term being elder living, senior living, assisted living, and post-acute care are basically nursing homes of all different kinds. And my mom was probably in every one of those in some form or fashion. But the problem occurred, Kirk, when my family, who lives all over the United States, couldn't get updated information about how our mom was doing. Was she assimilating in the facility? Was she meeting friends? She was always very very social.
Sure.
So that kind of thing was important. Was she playing bingo? Was she, was she going on outings? What was her behavior? What was her general frame of mind? And we couldn't get any information at all. The only information we ever got, sadly, was when there was a fairly radical change in her medical condition, like a fall or urinary tract infection, or one time I remember they called because she had a cut on her arm. So my family knew that this was a problem. And so I started exploring, talking to other families we had met in the course of these 10 years. And really, every single family said, yes, we want more communication. We want to stay engaged with our loved one.
And that goes that goes kind of along the lines of the study that University of Chicago did about, 54% of families only get information when something bad happens. They don't get enough information when when a lot of things happen, but you're communicating with them, and only 54% of them, not everybody is getting that information.
No, that's right.
When
that's
something
right.
bad is happening, and you're telling that same story that happened with you.
Yeah, and what we found was that every family we talked to, every single family we talked to, said, we want more information. Yeah. So we understood before we ever started building CareShare that this was a systematic problem. This was systemic across all facilities, no matter, and I don't like to call them facilities. That kind of darkens the experience. And my experience has been that these communities have incredibly loving, kind, wonderful, giving people working for them.
Agree.
But they just don't have the time to be able to gather up all the information about every resident and make sure that information is shared with family members who want to know. And so there's a burden on them because it's almost unfair. They're providing a lot of care, a lot of love, but they just don't have time to do some of the administrative details that would permit communication.
Sure. Some of these communities have, say you have a community with 100, room for 100 residents in there, but each resident may have, 4 or 5 family members that want information on them. Like in your case, you had family members who are across the country. Everybody would like to know some information about your mom. And it's really hard to communicate on a weekly or daily basis with 400 people.
Yes. Well, and not only Kirk, you're spot on. Not only with 400 people, but with different information for each group of people.
Yeah.
That becomes almost an overwhelming task to say, well, your mom participated in cards and board games and watched a movie at night and did all the unique things that they do. And be able to divide that up and systematically process it and then get it out to families. It's an overwhelming burden, and that's one of the things that we've tried to help with.
Wow, that is. So and you did that. You looked into that. You did some research. When your mother was going through those things, when you as a family, your family was going through that, and you came up with something interesting, and you developed this CareShare Manager. Tell us how you got to that point, and what really got you inspired about getting there, and tell us how you got to that point.
Sure. Well, in my career, I have 33 years of customer relationship management consulting experience, and that classically has been in a business-to-business environment where businesses were trying to attract and hold on to their customers. And so they put programs and processes in place to do that. But I found that the whole concept of CRM, or customer relationship management, applied in this situation. And I was using the Salesforce.com platform to do a lot of work with business-to-business clients.
Okay.
So I had 2 developers who helped me put together, build, construct, design care share manager, specifically for the purpose of allowing information, and not just activity information. You know, I've mentioned whether my mom was playing bingo or whether she
Sure.
was watching a movie, but really we provide the community with capability to go much deeper into the observations they're making about my mom, like her behavior, her interpersonal relationships, and be able to share that with families, because that provides some insight into how that loved one is progressing as they age.
And you see that as an important aspect of their, your loved ones' acclimation into a community and how they progress through that. You see those types of, observations as being necessary.
Yeah, I do. You know, there have been systems in place for a long time called electronic medical record systems or electronic
Sure.
health record systems. But those are very clinically based. You know, if I have meds that I have to take, or
Hmm.
I've had a diagnostic test, for example, those results are made available in those systems. But those systems are 20 years old, and
Okay.
they were never designed to be able to communicate information with families. So part of the frustration for these communities is that they just didn't have the systems or the time, or the resources, frankly, to be able to gather this information together. So CareShare really is focused on helping these facilities by using mobile laptops, which is pretty cool because they
Okay.
can walk around with an iPad or their iPhone and record observations. They can actually speak their notes into the system, and the system will transcribe what they say in typewritten format that immediately flows to that person's record.
Sure.
So we really wanted to attack the problem not only from the perspective of families who were really frustrated with not getting communication that they
Right.
wanted, but also from the facility or the community perspective. We wanted to give them tools that would allow greater levels of productivity, easier
Mhm.
management of this information, and we really have been very pleased to have achieved that goal.
Phenomenal. Thank you very much for that information. Hope everyone listening and watching, really gets what Chip has created. He and his team have created. It's a phenomenal platform. Going back to the families, though. So,
Sure.
so if I'm a family member, say, my mom is in, Las Vegas. We're here in Vegas right now, and I live in Florida, but I
Okay.
want to, find out more. I can't, fly across the country every week to check in on her, And when I do, I'm only checking in while I'm there. When I leave, go back to Florida, I don't know what she's actually doing. So how does CareShare help me as a family member? How does it help me be able to see or be able to communicate with that, community on a more frequent basis? How does it actually work? How does it do that for me as a
Well,
family?
every family member, Kirk, is given several options on how they want to communicate. Some families like a once a month summary email, which is sent out of CareShare automatically. No staff member has to be involved. It automatically assimilates information and sends that out to families who have expressed a need to know that. Families can come in over the internet through our community, and they can see specifically all the activities, all the notes, all the observations that we've made about that loved one, and they can see that in real time. So if my mom, for example, were to go to bingo at 9 o'clock this morning, by 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to see that she went to bingo, and did she enjoy herself, and did she win?
Wow.
Uh, so, uh, so I think though that's one option, is the summary.
Okay.
Second is the online real time piece, and if families choose that online real time piece, they also receive the ability to have two-way communication with the staff. So if they have a request, or they have a question that they need answered, or they want to provide some additional deep information about their loved one, they can do that in real time with the staff. through a function called chatter that allows them to interact with the staff. Important thing here is that any communication that is conducted between a community staff
Mhm.
and a loved one, or between a loved one and their resident, or between a resident and the staff, are all recorded and kept as history against that record. So there's some powerful note keeping. There's some powerful diagnostic. I'm sorry, not diagnostics, but some documentation that's occurring that really helps the facility as well, because these facilities have suffered a lot of legal ramifications
Yeah.
because they haven't been transparent, and now that they have an opportunity to be transparent, we want to supplement the information that they're gathering.
Excellent. Wow. And we hadn't even talked about the legal aspects of, being able to document all of this information. So that's another important feature. Sounds like CareShare is able to deliver for these facilities, or excuse me, communities. But I wanted to ask you now, especially with the real time component, with I believe it was called Chatter.
That's
Um,
right.
as a If I am, an administrator, if I am I do the resident activities at a community, and I have, 50, residents in there, how would it be a lot of information, a lot of work, a lot of you know, information that I have to put in? Do I have to spend about 5-10 hours after my shift to document all this information so I can make sure that all 50 of my residents, their family members, get information? How time consuming is that component?
Well, that's an excellent question. It's a question we get virtually every time we talk to a community. The simple answer is no. The simple answer is that we make it a lot easier to collect this information, because number one, they don't need to go back to a desktop computer or a laptop somewhere and re-enter the information.
Okay.
It can be entered in real time using any kind of intelligent device, like an iPad or an iPhone. Uh, the notes themselves are kept verbally. So if I wanted to make a note about Joanne, my mother, Joanne seemed especially spry today, and I wanted to make that note, and that's a note that's going to be shared with families, I could just simply speak that, and those notes are transcribed automatically. So all the information that's being collected that is meaningful for the community as well as the family is being recorded in real time. That allows that information to be very fresh. I don't have to write it down and then remember to go over to a laptop somewhere and re-enter it.
Right.
It's very fresh information. And we designed the system knowing that these communities really struggle with staffing. That's a big challenge for these communities.
Yeah.
So we build a big component around volunteers and allowing volunteers to self-schedule, for example, or to allow a community to recruit volunteers. And that's a big piece of what we did, because we know that volunteers are critical to the successful operation of any of these communities.
Sure.
And so we wanted to make it easier for volunteers to be able to capture their information as well. So they capture information exactly the same way as the staff does, but they have a different set of eyes on it. They, volunteers may, for example, be the ones who go pay personal visits to the residents. So we built a piece inside CareShare, and we use Einstein artificial intelligence to predict when someone needs a one-on-one visit, because without that personal one-on-one interaction, there is a huge increase in the number of people who isolate themselves or feel lonely.
Sure.
And those two elements are big deals. There was a study done by the former attorney, not attorney general, but and it's left me all of a sudden. But it's the former medical lead of the United States, and I'm sorry I can't come
That's
up with
right.
the
Sure.
phrase, but he wrote a paper and he said that loneliness and isolation are bigger threats to
Mm,
a person's health than are obesity and cigarettes. Being
wow.
lonely is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow.
So we built a big piece that allows a community to understand when someone needs a one-on-one visit. And literally it can be in their room, because some people like being isolated. They like
Right.
to read their books, or they like to watch a little TV in their room, or they like their dinners prepared and brought to them. And so uh, that we understand, and that we can keep track of as well. But there are some people who are just, don't have many friends yet. They're new to the community perhaps, and they tend to get isolated, and we want to prevent that because we don't want their health to fail because
Sure.
they feel isolated and lonely. So we've built a piece around that predicts that and allows a community to go, Joanne needs a visit. Let's go visit Joanne today. And so Joanne can get visitors, like I could come and see her, or a volunteer could go see her if I can't come
Nice.
to the facility in a timely way, um, or even other staff members can visit. So that's a real critical component that none of our competitors are taking a look at, but we think it's really important.
I think so too. I mean, even in this, our current, pandemic, COVID-19, I know that I've been in my house for a couple of months and I'm
Yep.
stir crazy, haven't, haven't been able to go out and go outside and everything, but lacking that, communication, that touch, that just being able to see. This is great, being able to do things over a computer and have these kind of conversations, but it's a different world when you can like physically see someone.
Yes.
They're in your space. You can share that energy, and we all have experienced that in this current, pandemic scenario. But to be in that all the time in a senior care community, um, I can imagine how, I believe you even shared this statement with me one time, is loneliness kills.
Yes.
So the fact that CareShare Manager has a volunteer component and tracks and predicts that with the AI function, I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, and Kirk, the interesting thing is that we didn't design CareShare around the COVID-19
Yeah,
situation. We had this capability years ago,
right.
when you have a situation where families can't come into a facility to see their loved one, and their loved one can't leave the facility, then the need for communication grows geometrically.
Sure.
We
Agreed.
have a client here in Las Vegas called Desert View Assisted Living and Senior Living, and they have done a phenomenal job. But literally, uh, their their demand for information grew 5 times what their normal was. So
Wow.
the administrator used to get 100 or used to get 30 emails a day approximately from
Sure.
family members. That jumped to 160.
Wow.
Well, we have to have a methodology then to be able to keep families engaged and informed, and we can't have staff spending all their time on this administration work
Hmm.
and no time in the care of the residents. So as it turned out, we were able to help a great deal with that situation to kind of alleviate those problems, and it was a great success because we had anticipated the need for this communication, and we were able to implement it very quickly, very rapidly, and it was a huge hit, huge hit.
Phenomenal. That's great. So basically, you've created the one-stop shop for um, engaging families, engaging communities, bringing them all together, joining them, and providing everything that everyone needs. You've created that in CareShare Manager.
We have, and of course, we have had some wonderful partners who have worked with us. And they've been able to share their own challenges, not just from a family communication perspective, but other challenges they're faced with in running these communities. It's very complex. And so we have been able to address many of the challenges, business challenges, that these organizations face because we had so much expertise in customer relationship management that we were able to apply some of the lessons we'd learned in that world to solving some real life issues in the elder care and post-acute care world. So we're very
Fantastic.
pleased with that.
Fantastic. That's great. I'm actually going to, let me see if I can get this up. I'm going to share. This is, and I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this?
I'm not looking at my screen,
Okay.
but
So,
if you'll describe it, I probably know what it is.
okay. Well, this is the Care Share Manager for those that can't see this. This is Care Share Manager, their website. And as you can see, I'm just kind of plucking through here, Chip. You mentioned a couple of the communities or the partners that you guys have worked with.
That's right.
And on your website, there's a little video that I wanted to share with everyone. And let me see if I can get it up here. It is what Care Share will do for you. Well, that's not the one that I was saying. I'm sorry. I get the other one. Here we go.
Well,
so this is Gary. So this is Gary. And Gary
okay.
is
So
Sacco.
Gary Sacco is in charge of the activities at a facility called the Maplewood in Webster, New York, just outside of Rochester. And this is an interview we did with Gary, who's just an amazing man, but this is the interview.
Yeah, this is the interview, and I'm sorry, Chip. It kind of went a little bit on its own for a second.
Well, it probably does do that. Yeah,
it does. But yes, everyone, this is Gary from the Maplewood, and he's going to just kind of share a little bit about how Care Share Manager is making their job easier in their community. And I just want to share this so that you can see it's not just coming from Chip, who's the phenomenal CEO, but it's from others that really enjoy and believe in Care Share and what it's doing for them. So I'm going to play this.
Care Share Manager is extremely important to delivering an astounding experience for our residents. I mean, we know our residents, but there are 74 residents here, and knowing what they really enjoy by memory is almost impossible. Mm-hmm. You forget things. You can't possibly remember everything. And with this particular platform, it's fantastic. I love that the master activity schedule gives us unbelievable flexibility. We can schedule individual tasks, put it right on the calendar. And if Connie wants to go shopping, we can come up with the time. I can actually schedule that and not make it public, because it's just Connie and I, and it's there. And I know we're going at 3:00 on Wednesday, March 16th. And away we go. And then when we come back, I can record that, check her box, write a note if I need to, and it's all there. And it's so retrievable. And if if someone's interested in something off the beaten path, we're doing our jobs of, collecting information, we might punch that into the scheduler, and lo and behold, we figure out, oh man, there's 3 or 4 other residents interested in this. Let's set up a table, give them the cards, and we'll see how it goes. It's pretty indispensable. I mean, we really have taken to the Care Share Manager. It's helped us out an awful lot.
So
yeah, they're a very powerful organization. Gary does a great job. I think they average about 200 different activities a month. And to manage attendance, which is a piece that we track in Care Share, because it tells us if someone's participation in an activity is going up or trailing off, which might mean that they're tired of that, or maybe they have a conflict, or maybe they just want something new to do. But we track all that, and literally when there's an activity based on someone's personal preference, which is what Gary was alluding to. He mentioned
Right.
master activities. When someone says, you know, I really like classical music, anytime a classical music activity is scheduled, that person will be invited automatically. And then we take attendance and we determine who's there and who's not there. And it gives us insight, pretty deep insight, into someone's changing tastes or
Sure.
desire to change into do maybe different activities.
And what I really like about that component, what Gary is talking about, what you're saying now, is that that's information for me as a family member that can't get to the community, but you can actually share that information with me. I can get it on my phone. It can just pop up in the email and says, my mom or my dad is participating in this activity every day, or maybe not every day, and I can figure out that's great, or I need to check in and see how come he's not
There
going.
you
But
go.
that's information that's being filtered into me as a family member as well as the community. So everyone is getting all this information, this communication, and it's flowing, freely, frequently and freely both ways. And I think that's what I know I would want as a family member. I would want to know how that's going, what's going on. And I think most families would want to know that information too.
Well, and think about this, Kirk. This is another exactly right. I can't agree more. But as a loved one ages, and I know certainly with my mom, who ended up developing dementia toward the end of her life, uh, she couldn't remember what activities she'd participated in. So if I went to visit her and I would say, Mom, did you play bingo this morning, or did you go to the movie this morning? She couldn't really remember if she had or not.
Sure.
But by tracking this in CareShare, family members could actually see for themselves, oh, she went to bingo, that's fantastic, or she watched a movie, that's great, or she went outside and spent some time outside. So those things that perhaps a loved one might forget, those remain in perpetuity for family members to share and to learn about and have wisdom about, and it really does help keep that bonding together between a resident and their family or their loved ones.
Sure. And I think what it really does boils down to it. You are with CareShare Manager, you're providing me as a family member, and actually also the administrators, the executives at the community, you're providing them peace of mind. Me as a
Mm-hmm.
family member, I feel at peace when I see that my family member is doing some things or my family member is not doing some things, and I can communicate that. I feel peace that they're in the right place. If I'm an
Yes.
administrator, I feel peace that I can see that my staff members are on top of everything. They're doing what they need to be doing,
Yes.
but they're not overwhelmed and overburdened because they have this CareShare Manager solution that they can quickly and easily, download their notes or speak, like you mentioned, speak into their phones and do their notes. But that's a peace of mind, I would say, for the administrator as well, because they're providing documentation. And with documentation, if you have proper documentation, then that lowers your legal risks because
That's
you
right.
have that documentation. So I just see it as a peace of mind solution for everyone.
Oh, that's well said. In fact, I'm going to steal that from you if you don't mind.
It's yours.
But yes, realistically, and I can share this as someone who's been through this search for a facility and search for the right community and search for the right staff, and my older brother and I did that search, and I could tell you that it creates a level of guilt. It did for our family when we felt, well, we're not capable of taking care of our mom anymore. We have to have someone else take care of her.
Right.
So we want to stay engaged. We
Sure.
want to know what's going on with her, and we want that, as you said, peace of mind, because we want to feel relaxed that she's in the hands of people who care for her as much as we care for her. And I tell this story that had my brother and I been provided an option between a community that was going to take good care of her, and it was pretty and it was clean and the staff was very professional, and another community that was beautiful and well staffed and caring and loving, but they provided family communication, oh, this would have been the one we chose, because it would have been made our lives a lot easier uh, by knowing that we could get information on a regular basis just to see how she was doing.
Sure. And I think a lot of families feel the exact same way. And that's why I'm glad that you were here on the Live Inspired Today show with me and podcast with me. And we want to make sure that everyone knows where to find you, because we want more individuals. If you don't have CareShare Manager, if you have a loved one in a community and they don't have something like CareShare, or they don't have CareShare, we want you to request that. If you are an administrator, if you're looking for some way to engage your families or to improve your productivity of your staff, this is it. So Chip, tell us how we can get in touch with you and how everyone can chime in and just find out more about how to get in touch with you at CareShare.
Sure. Well, if you're an administrator or you're a senior executive who is in charge of multiple communities, you can reach me directly. And my email is chip at caresharemgr.com. So it's chip at caresharemgr.com. That's my direct email. You can also call me in my office. My direct office number, 702-614-8255. Again, 702-614-8255. Or you can always go to our website, which is www.caresharemgr.com. Same thing as my email. And there's a lot of information out there. If you're a family member looking for a facility, we have built a document that I think would be of great help to you, because it's a series of questions designed to help you understand much better about a community and how they're running things and how much they're going to communicate with you and so forth. I'd be glad to send you a copy of that. So if you're a family member looking, please reach out and we'll be happy to get you a copy of those questions.
Fantastic. And just one more time, give them, especially the family members that may want to reach out, why don't you give them your email address again so that they can email you that.
It's Chip, like potato chip, chip at caresharemgr.com. And that's all one word, caresharemgr.com. And would love to hear from you.
Fantastic. Well, my friend, thank you so much for joining today. Really excited about CareShare Manager and about you, because you are an inspiration to me.
Well, thank you.
With the way that you've gone about your life, and can't be more proud and happy to have this friendship and to share your what happened with your life and with your mom, and how you created and you were inspired and motivated and frustrated, but you created something out of that frustration that's powerful. CareShare Manager. So thank you for sharing that information. So we really appreciate you being here.
Oh, I have loved it. I'm honored to be here. What you're doing is fantastic, Kirk, and I fully support you as well. And thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you. And again, everyone, CareShare Manager, make sure you guys check it out on the web, caresharemgr.com. You can email chip at caresharemgr.com. And we'd love for you to engage and for those, especially for those that are family members, those that are administrators, this is a powerful solution. Chip just kind of touched on the basics. There is so much more to CareShare Manager than we had time to talk about today. Please engage with Chip and get this solution into your communities, because it will do nothing but expand. Your community will be so grateful for this solution being in your community. So please check them out.
And Kirk, I would add one more thing. If you're a family member or you know of families who are searching for a facility, please reach out. We have a lot of experience, my own personal experience, of course, and the experience of many other families that we have spoken to and engaged. We can provide some good information to you. So if you're not looking directly, or you have a friend or you have another family member who's looking, please, by all means, pass this message on to them, and then make sure that they get in touch with us so they can get those 10 questions. Fantastic.
Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. So with that said, thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. We always end with you, wanting you to be encouraged. Life is so good, and we want you to have an encouraged life. We want you to stay positive. Nothing comes out of a negative mindset but negativity. And last but not least, we definitely want you to live inspired, because if you're inspired, you can inspire the next generation. You can inspire someone else to live their life, their best life now, and that's what we want for you. So thank you very much. God bless you. Till the next time, we'll see you.
Yep. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.